Hi, have you heard about Bitcoin? Not Bitcoin, but Bipcoin. Bravo, India, Papa, Coin. Bipcoin is a new cryptocurrency that you can start mining today for free on ordinary computers. Unlike most altcoins, Bipcoin is not a clone of Bitcoin. Bipcoin is based on entirely new, more recent, and better code called CryptoNote. So unlike Bitcoin, Bipcoin has truly untraceable transactions, does not require specialized mining rigs, and has adaptive limits. Plus, Bipcoin is the only cryptocurrency covered by the BIPCOT no government license. This allows use and reuse by anyone except governments and government agents. If you're still kicking yourself in the head for not getting in on the ground floor of Bitcoin, start mining, using, and trading Bipcoin today.
Not a guarantee.
Mining Bipcoin costs you nothing but the electricity to run your computer. And we already take Bipcoin for stickers and buttons. Go to bipcoin.org. That's bipcoin.org. Once again, that's Bravo, India, Papa, coin.org.
And I have ran into surprisingly, a lot of Hillary supporters here in Cincinnati, more than I expected. But I actually did friend some of them and, try to get through to them. And one of them actually stopped supporting Hillary and became an anarchist recently. So we
Nice.
have these small victories here and there.
Good job, man.
That's how you do it, Shane.
It is slavery, it's just a different name. A lot of people don't realize what it is. And when we bring these ideas to light and make people realize, that this government force is the problem.
And to me, it's like I say, imagine you're an abolitionist in the 19th century, and these slave masters are giving you the same exact argument. Who's going to pick the cotton?
Hey, Seeds of Liberty. Read the show's description, please. Fervently complete the course, report him to the infantry. Finish him, deconstruct the fallacy. Seasonal production means it seems to spawn a tragedy. Peep the action, please. A fraction of the allegory. Corollary cadences, complaining on a sadder story. Menial, recently reading into the thesis here. Mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though. Seeing is believing, yes, the reason is appealing most. Reading enemies is just enables you to see it too. Menial, recently reading into the thesis here. Mirroring the people.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seeds of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 80. As always, the Seeds of Liberty podcast is covered by a BIPCOT no government license. This allows reuse by anyone except governments and the agents thereof. You can find out more information about this at bipcot.org. So this week, we have our friend and returning guest, Shane Buell, in the vacated Danilo chair. Hey, Shane, how the heck are you, my friend?
Hey, Jeremy and Dave. I'm doing pretty good. I've been really busy the last month, but yeah, I'm getting back into the swing of things.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we were talking a little about that before the show. I've barely spoken to you since we got back from Michigan, which was, gosh, I keep thinking that was like just around, right around the corner, but that was like 2.5 months ago, almost 3 months ago at this point, wasn't it?
I guess it was about 2 months ago, and it feels like only 1 month ago because I've been so busy outside of Facebook and all that lately. I've been having a hard time keeping up on everything. But yeah, I got to meet Jeremy at the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest at the end of August, which was really cool.
Yes.
And then I also went to another festival called the Medicine Tribe Gathering a few weeks later, which was in southern Indiana, and it was held on 17-acre private property, which is actually being homesteaded. They're inviting people to come and build things on their property.
Ooh.
And there are a lot of leftists and stuff. I actually met a couple of anarchists there. So they're actually very liberty-oriented, and I would say almost all of them are agorists. They have a really neat off-grid setup with running water and everything. It's really cool.
Cool.
That's badass.
Yeah, they had a stage that they built, and they had bands playing every night. There's some really good music there. I think you guys would love to hear some of that stuff.
Oh yeah, what kind of stuff are we talking about?
Well, there was a band called Wookiefoot, which is kind of a reggae-style band, and then there was another one called One Love, which is another really good band, like hip-hop and the freestyle. There was a lot of really good freestyles popping off there. It was really cool. I was like, man, I wish Eric and Jared were here to see this because they would love it.
Oh, yes, our friends Eric July and Jared Howe are two of our rapping anarchist friends. Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. That might be more up Dave's
Jared
alley.
loves that shit.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, no,
yeah, I
Jared
love it,
doesn't
too.
though. Jared's not really a fan of rap. He's talked about that before on our show and on your show.
He's not a big freestyler either. He says he sits down and starts writing, and it starts coming to him, and he can't stop.
Well, yeah, because he talked about the fact that he was always like a metal guy, basically, and somebody else gave him the idea to put his ideas to rap. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." Because I remember him talking about that, saying he wasn't actually really that, he liked some rap, but he wasn't really like a fan of rap before all this stared. So
I know,
which is kind of
we'll
interesting.
talk before the show about the downfall that I do with him. It comes out every Friday. Before we do the show, we'll be talking, and I'll be talking about a rapper, and he'll be like, "I don't know who that is," and I'm like, you're the worst rapper ever.
Yeah.
I'm actually a big fan of hip-hop myself, which I guess if you really want to break down the genres, is a bit different than rap. And, I used to listen to KRS-One in the 90s and all that kind of stuff. So I've been a fan of hip-hop for quite a while.
Yeah, I'm not against it. It was just never, like, I went through a couple of phases. Like, I had my... Because when I think of rap, I think of like the original, more of the original stuff, like back in the day, Public Enemy, N.W.A., even Run DMC, and who's the other guy?
Sugar Hill Gang.
Well, some of the original ones, yes, but I think of stuff like that. Like back then,
Africa Bambaataa and all.
Africa Bambaataa.
Yeah, I've seen them live.
Or even I was a huge fan of Slick Rick too, but people like that.
Yep.
I never got. I mean, there's songs I like, sure, but I gave up listening to radio for the most part years ago when I got Sirius, when I got my Sirius satellite radio. So I gave up listening to regular radio, and then I was only listening to the stuff I specifically wanted to listen to. I wasn't channel surfing all that often. So I would be, when I got Sirius, I got
listening to Howard do his 3 shows a week.
Well, yeah, no. When I first got there, because I got Sirius as soon as he said he was going there, because I was a big Stern fan, so I got Sirius for him, and he was still doing the full week of shows back then, and then he slowly made it less and less. But although I ended up canceling my subscription and not caring that I was missing his show anyway, but I would just listen to him. I would listen to the when they finally made it the Margaritaville channel, because I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. And which actually they also do play a lot of reggae and jazz type music on there, which is kind of cool. And one or two of the classic rock stations, and then I that's when I had gotten into my country.
I got it. I got the XM as soon as Opie and Anthony went there. Like as soon as that happened, I got it. Like so, as soon as they fired Anthony, I unsubscribed from XM, and they tried to get me back so bad. They stalked me. And I literally said,
man.
Put in my file, call when Anthony Cumia is rehired.
Yeah, that'll happen. I haven't...
Literally, it's in my file at Siri.
I didn't pay attention that much, but I heard recently that Norton left Opie as well and started his own thing. Is that true? Do you know? Or do you don't listen
quit
anymore?
listening.
Oh, you don't pay attention anymore?
I quit listening. As soon as that happened, I quit listening. I refused to... give my patronage. So I know how capitalism works. I feel sorry because I am such a big fan of Opie and Anthony and Jim, but as soon as Anthony got fired, Opie could have literally said, I'm gone. If you fire him, I walk. And he didn't. So
well, there was I don't know. I heard interviews by everybody after that, and there was a lot more nuance to that whole situation than just I got to quit because my friend got fired. No, there was a lot more to that. But anyway,
there's a lot of PC bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, my point originally was that I kind of drifted away from listening to stuff, and then I would only listen to specific channels. And then when I got rid of my Sirius, I was just like, okay, no more music anymore. Because for the most part, I listen to podcasts during the day. If I'm out at work, if I'm walking dogs and stuff like that, if I'm not on Telegram talking to people, I'm listening to podcasts. Like today was a good day. I got through like 4 or 5 of them that had been backing up. So I spend the majority of my time doing that, and then I'm home, and half the week I'm usually on here doing some show or another. So I don't even have time to listen to music anymore. So I don't even know what the heck. When people talk about how bad music's gotten, I'm like, I don't know. I haven't listened. It's been a long time.
I'm busy making propaganda. Leave me alone.
Exactly. I got better things to do. I mean, I still do. Like I shouldn't say that. When I made the trek to Porkfest, I actually filled. I still have one of those old school CD binders with hold 96 CDs because yes, I still have CDs and I still will use them from time to time. I know a lot of people look at me. They're like, "You still carry it?" Like when I got there, half the people were like, "You still carry those things with you?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't before this week, but it made sense for me to have this rather than to rely on my phone, which the battery dies regularly, especially if I'm using it to play music constantly." I mean, I whipped that out, and I still have stuff, but I think the most recent album I have is the most recent one is from at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago. It's been that long since I've gotten anything new, I guess. So
yeah, same here. I haven't actually bought anything from the store for quite a while, and I haven't torrented anything for a while either.
Oh, that reminds me.
I've been waiting for the next Tool album. That's all.
Like I said, I actually was one of those people that would still, even when I still was purchasing music and stuff like that, I kept insisting on purchasing the CDs even after most people had switched to either using the iTunes or getting downloads from elsewhere and doing MP3 type stuff. I was like, nope, I still like to have the CDs, so I still have 1,000 plus that are stored up in my attic that I had to go through.
Yeah, I got a bunch.
In order to make that
might
trip.
be good though, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I like holding on to them. That's just me. But I was the same way with books too.
Do you have a CD player?
I
don't
do.
have a CD player anymore.
Oh no, I do.
Well, I have a computer that can play it, but
well, yeah, I have 2 laptops that could play it. But I also have. I mean, besides the one in my car, I actually do have 2 little boombox CD players. One of which was actually a fairly recent purchase because it was going to be used for doing different sound effects and stuff for the Fiends. So I have, I actually do have it. And actually, I'm looking at it right now. It's sitting in my kitchen, just staring at me. Hasn't been used in a little while, but I was playing music a couple of weeks ago. My kids like it. So
why don't you just fire up the old Jimmy Buffett and just throw on some burgers?
I haven't gotten them into Buffett just yet. They like some country music. And now they're really big fans of Rusted Root because I was playing that.
All you got to do is get them listening to Dolly, and it's over, dude.
I don't even listen to Dolly.
Dolly's the best country. Dolly's the best country.
I'm not even a fan of Dolly, so I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah, Shane. So you were talking before we got sidetracked in this conversation about music. You were talking about the music you saw at this festival you went to, and you had said before the show, I think we were talking. You said a lot of these people you think might actually do well to come up to something like the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest, right? Because they're not really anarchists per se, except a couple that you met, but maybe more that mindset.
Right. Well, I'd say that we had a little bit of a kind of a group meeting when we first got there, and I'd say there was a couple hundred people, and they had everyone speak a little bit, and I spoke a little bit about philosophy and anarchy and things like that, and they seemed to really be really receptive to the message. And a couple of anarchists I spoke with later, even though they were ANCOMs, leftist anarchists, we still do have a lot of overlap. I mean, I'm a voluntarist, and I can relate to the left and the right, and so I found a lot of common ground between them, and I guess you could call them, hippies, but they're really cool hippies, and they're very liberty-minded, and they're free thinkers, free spirits, and their energy is just really contagious. But yeah, like I said, they have a stage that they built out of materials that were donated and everything. They built a community kitchen, and they even have running water that is off-grid. It's really cool. It's really neat setup. I would say every single one of them are probably agorists without even realizing it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So was this like the first time they did this, or is this like an annual thing that's gotten started, or
this is? Well, I think this particular location might have been an annual thing, but this particular group, I think they go by the name of the Medicine Tribe. They have little, hippie peace gatherings sporadically throughout the United States. And there was one just a week or two ago in St. Louis, and I think in the middle of November, I'm going to be going to one in Chicago. A lot of these are like the outdoor camping style type things like the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest was. But now that the weather is getting colder, I think what I'm going to in Chicago is actually just like a venue where the bands are going to play. But it's going to be all the same people and same energy and same kind of conversation, I think, that I had there.
Cool.
Those are the type of people I think we could invite to our gatherings next year, because they seem really open to this kind of stuff. Like, how a lot of people, when you lay out voluntarism for them, they're like, oh, well, that's what I am. I just never had a word for it before. I can see that this particular group of people is really open and receptive to that type of thing, and it really it gives me a lot of optimism for the future.
Yeah.
Once you find those people that are open to the non-aggression, side of things, it's pretty easy to keep pushing them towards things over and over and over, because it's like, hey, well, I mean, if it's not good for this, then shouldn't it also not be good for this? And then it's like you just keep boom, 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 and it's just you're knocking down blocks after that, and it's that any kind of residual like aggression that they want in society is gone. I've noticed, especially with like people that are almost there on the left. They don't want to hurt anybody. They're go along to get along people.
Yeah, the way that this kind of catches on, it reminds me of that. Have you ever seen how they take the little dominoes and they lead up to a bigger domino, and then that knocks over a bigger domino, and eventually it's knocking over like 100-pound domino?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of the effect that this philosophy has on society once they become exposed to a consistent way of thinking. That just inevitably leads to that conclusion. And I think it's catching on kind of like exponentially now at this point. Because it's weird how I've 3 times now in like the last month just ran into anarchists randomly where I've been and didn't expect to find anarchists.
Yeah, we the royal we're everywhere. I mean, yeah, that's cool though. That
the collective of individuals.
Exactly. No, but that's kind of cool though that they have this kind of roving festival thing. That's actually something we've been talking about recently, about just having either festivals going constantly or different events like that going all year round across the country, or get people that are willing to. Was I talking about it with you, Dave? Was that on one of our shows? I don't remember who that conversation was with, but we were talking about getting an actual roving festival, like just one that people who can.
It just goes around the whole country? Well,
yeah, because most of these festivals, or at least the ones that are usually 50 or more people.
Well, what you do is you wrap a festival around a market, and you just have like a roaming agorist market.
Well, yeah, that's what I was getting to. That was that's the kind of the discussion we were having about it would. The only
that might
way
have been me.
Yeah, I don't remember at this point. It was a few weeks back, but the idea was that you could either be somebody who festival hops through the existing festivals all year round, but if you're somebody who is already festival hopping like that because you're trying to hawk your wares while you're there, like I met a bunch of people up at Porkfest, like that's what they do. They festival hop, and they take their whatever they're selling, they take to each festival, and they just go from town to town or wherever it is, and that's how they make a good deal of their living. So if you have people that are like that already, then why not create one that moves with them instead of them having to go to each one? Because it would only
like
be able
Carnival.
Essentially, but it would only really be able to be quote unquote staffed.
Carnival of Freedom.
There you go. That's a good name for it. There was it would only really be able to be quote unquote staffed by people who are already living that lifestyle, or who could afford to live that lifestyle, who could afford to live by just selling their stuff wherever they go.
That very much sounds like the Medicine Tribe gathering, and they did have an area for like vendors. They had vendor canopies and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of the festival work that needed to be done, like the admissions and all that kind of stuff, and the kitchen ran 24/7. The food was free. It was amazing, but all those people were donating their time and energy and materials to the community. And I think that, how you were talking about this roaming festival type thing, they told me that last year their gathering was probably only about half that size, and that this year it's probably doubled. And not only has the size of their gatherings doubled, but the frequency of their meetups and gatherings has increased as well. So not only are they having larger gatherings, but they're having them more often. And it was my first one, about a month ago. And I can say that these are all really cool people with really good energy, and we should go to their events and we should invite them to ours.
Well, sure.
That's rare that I hear a voluntarist give a ANCOM-ish type person a thumbs up.
They're not all as evil and stupid as you like to make them out to be, Dave.
I would say they They're ancoms, but they're not Marxists. They're not the statist communists. They probably don't even identify as communists for the most part. And I would say it's similar to probably the Rainbow Gathering in New Hampshire, which I have not really attended, but I heard Rob Mathias talking about it, and it sounds very much like the Medicine Tribe gatherings.
Yeah, well, that's what I was. We were talking about the roving festival. Like you said, they're springing up everywhere. I mean, if there's a core group of people that's traveling with each one, then yeah, that's what they would essentially be doing. And it sounds like it sounds like what's getting, or even if it's just being done spontaneously or by different groups in every area. In either case, it sounds like what they're doing is they're essentially setting up, impromptu communes.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a whole lot of spontaneous order, and it's growing in popularity. And I think there's a lot of overlap between the two communities, and we could learn from each other.
Well, what else? They call it medicine. So what else do they do besides music? Do they have talks and stuff, or do they have?
They didn't quite have, like the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest has all these scheduled talks and things like that. But basically, it's all pretty much random. You just walk around and talk to people, and everybody's got their thing that they do, whether it's activism or, like you said, vending whatever it is that you make or produce. But yeah, it seems like this is the kind of thing that I look forward to over the next year. The various events that I've attended this year are going to probably be so much better next year. And I really look forward to getting more people involved. I would say that they have a core group of about 100 people that probably roam around and attend each event. And they all pitch in and help each other out in the kitchen and things like that. But, at night, when it's time to party, everybody goes to the main stage and watches the band and dances. And it was very much like the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest, except with a stage where bands were playing music. And we could probably even try to see if they're interested in having some of these bands play next year in Michigan.
Well, yeah, you're going to have to get a move on that, though, because they shifted the dates.
Right.
Which is interesting, because you're saying, hopefully if you have a festival and it's somewhat successful, too successful, you would hope that the numbers would increase the following year. Michigan, I would say that the numbers should still keep increasing, although I think Lou said it was kind of off this year because of the weather, because people knew that what happened on Saturday, they knew was going to happen on Saturday, and they were like, I don't know if I want to go deal with that. They decided to move it up, so it's gonna conflict with PorkFest, and
they moved it up a few months.
Yeah, from what I've been told, the people in the in control, the people from the Michigan Peace and Liberty Coalition, the group that puts on the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest, apparently some of the people in that group decided to really get it in their head that they wanted to try to stick it to PorkFest next year, so they decided to schedule it for one of the weekends of PorkFest, whatever. I don't remember if it's the beginning of PorkFest or the tail end of PorkFest. So that could completely backfire on them. It could agitate a lot of people. It could cause certain people that were going to go to Michigan almost definitely now not go because they want to go to both.
Now we just find a good place between the spot in Michigan and the spot in New Hampshire for PorkFest. We just find the one that's like geographically in the middle.
Well, that would be.
And we put one there. Well, we start a fest there, and then we just start from there, and they build fest out from there, and we start a big daisy chain of festivals.
Well, that's the daisy chain, if you will, although they're not connected, which is even better because it's decentralized. They're all.
I like that name for it, though.
They are all. They're starting to spring up everywhere because you have PorkFest, which seems to be on the decline, but we'll see what happens this year. I know I won't be returning, but we'll see what happens. You have the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest. You have the Agora Fest that now popped up in Minnesota. That's been happening for the past couple of years.
Also, Anarchon.
Oh, yes, Anarchon that they just had in Virginia with Cal Molinay and their guys.
Passio.
Yes, Passio's event. You have the Jackalope Festival out in Arizona.
Anarchapulco.
Yeah, I don't know so much about that one, but there's a bunch of other ones stateside where you don't have to risk crossing the border and dealing with all the other BS on top of the fact that you have to deal with the BS here. You have to deal with their BS and the US's BS trying to get back in.
We're still contemplating setting one up, right? Like I know we keep
yes, I know. I haven't. Well, see, here's the thing, though. Our original plan for SeedsFest was to try to get it off the ground in 2017, and I was originally going to start off by trying to rival PorkFest. Not that I had any plans of coming anywhere near the numbers for at least the first couple of years, but the idea was to put it during that time because we were looking to do I'm looking to do a week-long festival, kind of like PorkFest does now. I mean, the first couple of years is probably just going to be camping. It's not really going to be a fest, you know. I mean, people could bring their stuff and sell it and stuff, but whatever.
A camping thing a week or a weekend would be great. I think a weekend would be great. Just pack it full of speakers. It'd be awesome.
Well, we're gonna work on that. But the point was, that was the original plan. Once I heard that the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest had gotten shifted to that, I'm like, well, there's no way in hell I'm having it that week now, because I'm not going to have all three of them go on at the same time. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Plus, I would like to go to the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest, so that's also not going to help. So now we have to look, and the problem is, I mean, we could switch places with the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest and try to put on an August festival, but we were looking to go somewhere Kentucky, Tennessee area, and Kentucky, Tennessee in August is not going to be fun. It's going to be hot as hell and sticky.
Yeah, it's going to be hot and miserable. I think May in Tennessee would be perfect. I think May in Tennessee would be perfect.
Yeah, see, the weather-wise, it'll probably be closer to
third
ideal.
Week in May would be.
Yes, but thinking logistically, for May, the problem is when you get towards the end of May, you have Memorial Day, unfortunately, which does affect travel plans for a lot of people. And then you also have the fact that PorkFest is only a month after that. Or, this year it'll be the two things that are a month after that. Having them stacked that closely together at the beginning of the year, also not a good thing. So then it's maybe push it later. Maybe go late September, October. I don't know.
You want to do it when it's either starting to warm up, so it's cool outside at night, so there's a reason for the tents and everything. And then you want it to be when it's just starting to get cool, like about right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, October might even be cool. Like first week in October would even be cool. Something like that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So
but I don't know. There's so many people have kids in school and stuff and all that. I mean, we can talk about it, but I definitely want to start a SeedsFest for sure. A family event, like you can bring your families, definitely kind of mimic what some of the core tenets of PorkFest is, but definitely not go down the path that they have.
I really like that idea, Dave. And I wish you could have made it out to Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest.
Yeah.
Because I think something like that is what you should probably be shooting for.
Well, that's kind of what that is too. It's a family event. There was plenty of kids there,
Kids and dogs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was supposed to have my kids, couldn't bring them, but plenty of other people did. And then I had Murder Dog. Plenty of other people had their dogs. But that's the type. Yeah, that's exactly that type of thing where. I mean, they call it a fest, but really it's just a bunch of us hanging out. I mean, yeah, there was a couple of speeches. And then there was other events that just kind of came up impromptu, like the wedding, right?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, there was two. There was actually technically two weddings, wasn't there?
There was two weddings.
Yeah, there was two weddings. And something else happened. I can't remember what else happened while we were there. I did a lot of drugs. But
there was a wedding, and there was two weddings at the dance, which was more of a ball type thing.
Oh yes, the ball. I missed that. That's why I missed the whole thing because I slept through it.
Oh, that's right.
Because I had been up for over 48 hours, and I had just driven 11 hours to get there, and only took a 2-hour nap in between. And I was like, yeah, I need to sleep a little bit.
We need to have our own little fest. Is all. It'll be fun.
Well, it's
just to have listeners and people from the group and everybody just come. We can have some live videos. It would be a lot of fun to just have everyone kind of see what we're doing and actually kind of see like IRL us,
Yeah, but I see. But you don't actually need our own fest to have that happen, Dave. You just have to get out and go to some of these things. I know. And plus the original intent of doing something somewhere in like possibly Tennessee or Kentucky was the idea of trying to get a centralized location for more people so that we could pull more people in and we could, because the other, what you're talking about would be great. Unfortunately, our listeners and our other friends are all spread out across the country. Some of them aren't even in this country, so like just because we have it doesn't mean we're going to really get anything like that. I think just the idea of having more of these. I mean, do I want to have one that I could try to hopefully shape a little bit more? Sure, that's always nice. So having an actual SeedsFest would be great, but just having these type of things pop up everywhere is what I'm really looking for, so that there will be one going on almost all the time. Like, every month, every couple of weeks, you'll be able to look around the country and there'll be somebody doing something somewhere.
That's already kind of starting to happen, like with some of these other gatherings.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I want to build on.
To the people, yeah, some of them started out as a weekend event, and now they're like week-long events where they might be attended by 500 people, unique individuals, but there might only be 100 of them there each day of the week. So, like, you might have a different group of people at the beginning of it than you have at the end of it.
That's cool, too.
There might be, people come for, a few hours sometimes.
Yeah, some people will come for, like, Monday through Wednesday. Some people will come on the weekend. Some people might stay for the whole thing.
Well, sure. And that's what, when we had Alma Summer back on months ago before Jackalope, she talked about that, and we got into that discussion about trying to get these going everywhere and trying to get more and more and more of them. And the fact that you can start them out just small with a couple of friends and a week, because that's Jackalope started out it was only a weekend thing to start. They only started doing this was either the first year or the second year that they did a week long, because it was only like 3 or 4 days before that. And she talks about trying to get even just that one in general to extend even longer, like hopefully get more people to stick around and say, hey, let's do 2 weeks instead. And just getting these things going. You can have small stuff like they have in Pennsylvania. They have the Anarchy on the Allegheny, which they've done now 2 years in a row, which I believe is a rafting trip or canoe trip or something. So I think it's just a day trip. I don't even think it's an overnight thing. I think it's just a day. But they all get together and they put the event out there for other people to try to see and say, hey, if you're in the area or anywhere close, if you want to come down, and that's how we build stuff like this. I did it for the first time in two events this year, with Pork Fest and the Midwest Peace and Liberty Fest. The only thing I had been to before was Liberty Fest NYC, which I went to twice or three times. One of which one time with Danilo. Twice with Danilo, I think. Once or twice with Danilo. Anyway, it was nice to talk to everybody, but you're still like in this bar, and it's still like, which is an atmosphere I don't normally enjoy anyway. I'm not much of a bar person anymore. So, I mean, granted, the second one we went to, the place was really nice. They had it was a really nice bar with a big ballroom and stuff. So, it was nicer, but I like to be outdoors, and there's something about spending a weekend or more with a bunch of people that you don't really know, or maybe you've just talked to online, that you just like, especially when everybody's just hanging out and being so like chill, because there was really no problems, at these events that I've been, any of the ones that I've been to. I mean, sure, are there going to be problems? Absolutely. There are always going to be problems, but there's really nothing major, and everybody just kind of hangs out and gets along, does their thing. And it's such a trusting environment that, at least the things that I've been to, because heck, at Pork Fest, I had my box of Bipcot koozies sitting out on the edge of our little campsite with a sign that said, $2 and a bucket next to it for money, and I left it out there all day long. And people just walked by and dropped in, took change if they needed it, and it was fine. And people did this everywhere. Same thing in Michigan. There was people that set up, they had like eggs or whatever it was they brought that they're selling, just sitting out on the edge of their other campsite. They're not even there. They're down doing something else, watching a talk or doing some activity or getting some food. And people just walk by, grab their stuff, put the money in, and walk away. And no issue. There's no security cameras. Everybody's just on the honors system. I mean, heck, one group of people had a setup where they had a popcorn machine. Or no, there was a Pork Fest. They had a popcorn machine and a cotton candy machine. And they had this giant tent, and it just sat out front of their tent with a huge sign on it that said the prices, and then gave the hours of when they were considering themselves off duty and when you were on the honor system after that. And they just left it out. Wow. And drunk people would stumble around and find it in the middle of the night and go, ooh, popcorn, and they'd pull money out of their pocket and they'd throw it in. Or if they were sober enough, they'd grab their phone, and if they could manage to hold the phone still enough to scan the Bitcoin barcode, they'd do it that way.
Yeah.
And it's great. And just, like I said, there wasn't really security. People were armed because people are allowed to be armed there, but allowed. But it was, it's just such a chill environment that you really end up. It's kind of hard not to bond with people. You have to really like. And I'm saying
I'm gonna try to get to some next year.
You really should, man. Because I mean, I call myself an introvert, but like even for somebody who like me, like it's really hard. You have to be really introverted to not like make some kind of connections, just because there's people everywhere, and most of them are pretty cool.
I know, and yeah, I know. I'm gonna want to get a hug from everybody and a high five. I don't know, man. I've been not in the best financial situation lately to be traveling anywhere. So,
well, yeah.
Shane, what do you think about Trump saying? What do you think about Trump saying today that that he'll accept the election if he wins?
Nice segue, Dave.
I was unaware of that. Man. What did he say, Dave?
Exactly what I just said. He said he'll accept.
So he said if he wins, he'll accept the results. But if he doesn't, does that imply that if he doesn't, then he won't?
I mean, essentially.
See, I just caught that right before we got on, right before we started recording. I was just looking at Facebook and I saw somebody had a post about it, and I didn't have time to verify, but I guess he actually did say that. So yeah, the implication,
those are verbatim words.
No, I'm not denying you. I'm just saying I didn't have a chance to. But if that's what it is, okay, fine. So as Shane said, yes, that clearly implies that he's not going to accept it if he loses. So
right, it's not what he said; it's what he didn't say.
Well, you always have to remember Donald Trump is a master of getting the media to talk about something so minute that he can go, oh yeah, I was just joking about that. I'll totally accept the, but he can get them to 24/7 talk about that.
Well,
he's a master of that.
He could either be getting them, or they could just be, depending on which side you want to take, they could just be doing that anyway, because that does seem, leaving the what's come out through the WikiLeaks stuff to the side, it really has seemed that the media, as usual, is looking at any opportunity to jump on him, especially when news is about to come out about Hillary, or has just come out about Hillary. So, could Trump be playing?
It's so blatant at this point.
Could he be? Yeah, but could Trump be playing them too? Sure. Or could they all be playing for the same team, which I still think is most likely.
He's gotten them a few times. Yeah. He got him a few weeks ago with the whole, he had a big announcement about Obama's birth certificate, and then he had like 20 Medal of Honor winners talk really, really highly of him, and then he said, oh, hey, Obama's a legit citizen, born here, nothing else to say about it, have a great day. And, he had the entire media watching him there. It was like, it's insane, like, they are getting pulled every direction he wants them to, and they really don't understand the Streisand effect at all. At all. I think most people with that authority brain, that brain with authority on it, they don't understand the Streisand effect at all.
Even if they understand it, they don't recognize it when it's happening to them. That's a common problem with a lot of people. I mean, I'm guilty of it too in certain situations too, where you do know. I mean. You do know an idea, you do know something that a trick or something or whatever that somebody, and whatever it is that somebody could be doing, and you're aware of it, but when you're involved, it's harder to be objective, so you don't notice certain things as much. Mm-hmm. And then if you're getting fed stuff that continues to confirm your own biases, then you tend to look even less. Yeah. More, you turn to your critical eye gets turned off even more. You're just like,
I have to do that all the time because my nose is in conspiracy so much. I read so much conspiracy news. I have to do that all the time. I have to pull up sometimes and go, ooh, is this just the bullshit filter's got to get put back on here? So yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and like I said, it could be with anything, but that's what happens when you get when you're immersed in it.
Shane's in Cincinnati, and Ohio is, if we're just playing Occam's razor here, the election is not a whole rig job from the beginning. This could cause a civil war, Ohio is going to be a very volatile state to be in, IMO.
Why do you...
I just, wanted to know what Shane thinks about possibly this thing's all going to fucking shit.
Why do you say that, though? I don't... What is your...
Well, it's just it's a big split state as far as politics go. You have the two big cities, and then pretty much everywhere else is...
Yeah, the cities, I think, are a little bit more liberal, and the countryside is a little bit more conservative. And I have ran into a lot of surprisingly a lot of Hillary supporters here in Cincinnati, more than I expected. But I actually did friend some of them and, try to get through to them. And one of them actually stopped supporting Hillary and became an anarchist recently. So we
Nice.
have these small victories here and there.
Good job, man.
That's how you do it, Shane. What happened? So it was you talking to them, or they just, I guess, what happened?
Well, when the whole Democratic National Convention happened and Hillary stole the nomination from Bernie, well, that made a lot of Bernie people mad, but half of them still supported Hillary anyway, and the other half were like looking for someone else, like Jill Stein or whatever. And a lot of people said this is the perfect time to win over Bernie supporters. And so I went out looking for, Bernie supporters and making friends with them and talking to them. And some of them actually turned out to be Hillary supporters too. But I just used the same pretty much Socratic method and consistency and whatnot. And they eventually, some of them came around. So I've won over a Bernie supporter and a Hillary supporter recently.
You're my hero, Shane.
Yeah, that's really awesome, and I agree, because I was one of those people saying that when the Bernie thing happened. I was like, this is the time. This is when you can get to him. And
that was the irony.
It really was, though.
Right
yeah.
there.
Well, yeah, and I said just like the disenfranchised Ron Paul, the disenfranchised Ron Paul people, who finally had enough. That was the time for them to what's further than this?
We've got to attack every Hillary person when these WikiLeaks come out. I'm telling you,
no.
Well,
they're going to be so
No, they're not.
What I'm saying, propagandized. No, it's going to be indefensible.
No, what's come out already is indefensible.
A lot of times their cognitive dissonance is so much that they'll still defend it
exactly. Anyway. That's what I was driving at, because the history of this woman is out there for everybody to see. Like you, Shane, we can sit here and look at her. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think we could all pretty agree. She's like if she's not pure evil, she's one of the closest things a human could be to it.
I can't really look at her I have a hard time looking at her.
Okay, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, I have a hard time. Like, I just feel like I'm looking at pure evil. Honestly.
So that's out there, and there's still people that support her, and there's still people that are still so immersed in the system and in the belief in the system that if they hate Trump even more, it won't matter what gets put in front of them. The jokes people keep saying, like, for Hillary supporters, she could eat a puppy on live TV and people would still.
Yeah.
It's pretty much that bad with these people, because if they
literally could be that bad, because no matter what Hillary does and no matter what Trump says, their supporters are still going to support them.
Yes. I mean, a few people may fade off, but
hardline people are always going to be hardline about no matter what. But the 99% of the people that mostly even vote don't pay attention to politics rarely at all. They'll check the skim Fox or whatever, or they'll skim the news every so often. Oh yeah, okay, I know a little bit about this now. Most people aren't into this stuff. Most people are just into sitting on the couch and flicking through Instagram all night.
Okay, and how many of those people do you think are actually going to get to see the information that comes out through the WikiLeaks? How much of what has come out already has already been censored? Censored. How much?
Quite a bit, man.
Yeah, there's been a ton of censoring on social media. Different media outlets have obviously not discussed it at all. Like, there's been a blackout about a lot of this stuff. So how many of these people are actually going to hear about that? That's the other problem. That's why I think it doesn't matter necessarily what comes out about her before the election. The prime time, as we talked about, I think it was I don't think it was last week with Lou. I think it was 2 weeks before that, where we talked about, where I said the prime time is right after the election. Whoever loses, especially in a situation where it's this, at least on the surface, it's being presented as this volatile, not only between the candidates but between the supporters. When there's this much animosity and this much vitriol getting tossed around, people are going to be pissed when their person loses. They're not just going to be, we didn't win and this sucks. No, they're going to be pissed off, and that right then is a perfect time, in my opinion, to strike and start introducing these ideas and trying to find ways to connect with them, try to find ways like whatever they were hoping that their candidate was going to do. Try to find ways that you could make the arguments for a voluntary system providing what they want or whatever. Like, find ways to connect with them and find ways to be like, oh, you know, I agree with you on this, and it sucks that, you know, even if you have to bullshit a little, because obviously, you know, like, at least as far as I know, the same agenda is getting rolled out no matter which one wins. So I don't think it really matters. But I think when you tell them, oh yeah, that I really wanted that thing too, and you talk about it and you find it and you reach these people, and just like with the Bernie supporters, I said, you're not going to reach the same number, I don't think, as you did with the Ron Paul supporters, obviously, because most people, well, I wouldn't say most, a good number of the people that were following Ron Paul at least had a really good grasp on economics and logic. So it wasn't that hard to make that leap. Once they became disenfranchised, and they were like, "Oh, this was our last hope," and if he can't even get in, then what point is it? There's obviously, I don't think, going to be that as many, but I said at the time with the Bernie thing, if even an eighth of the numbers that Ron Paul turned happened with Bernie, or at least could be reached in some capacity, that's a huge victory. You know, and that's a huge push for the movement, and that's just a huge step towards freedom for people understanding and
especially if you can get somebody that's, you know, very, very vocal about their politics.
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, now
they're going to be very, very vocal about voluntarism.
Exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. So that's why I said right after the election, whoever loses, I think that's those are the best people to target at that time. Those are the people to go to and reach it, like you were talking about, Shane, about reaching out to the Bernie supporters. That I think that's what the time, whoever loses, that's the time to reach out to their supporters. And then even with the people, whose person won, you wait about a year, and then you go check back in on them. Because once things start to not happen the way they were supposed to, kind of like the whole Obama thing, which was what pushed me over the edge finally, because a year in, I was kind of like, hey, I understand things take time, but why is nothing happening? Why is nothing changing except the stuff I wasn't too happy with to begin with? So a year and a half, when things start, when it starts to dawn on people that, oh my God, there's nothing changing, it didn't matter, that's the time to get to them. Because unfortunately, if you don't, and I'm not saying obviously not everybody can be gotten to and like whatever, but when you don't get to, when people aren't given that new information in that time frame, it's very easy to slip back into your old mindset and just say, oh well, you know, this sucks, I hate all politicians suck, I'll just wait till next time and vote again. There's like this window that you have to get into with people. Because when people start asking questions...
Well, their elephant's already walking that way, you know?
Well, yeah, but if people are already asking certain questions, if there's nobody there to answer them, they go find their own answers or give up. And it happened to me, because there was plenty of times I can look back on now and see where I started to like ask questions, and then I either got apathetic or the next big thing happened, where all eyes of the media were pointed on that. It's like, oh, you know, this is why we need government type of thing, and you know, you get sucked right back into it. So, like I said, that's why I think these are the best times to reach out to these people, because they're going to be having questions, they're going to be asking things, and if you can be the one to be there, or somebody like you, to give them answers. And it's not like you have to force them to understand. You just give them some answers, and hopefully they'll ask some more questions. And then
sometimes you just have to ask them the right questions.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Thank you. That's what I was going to say next. Is that's the other thing. Ask them questions too, and just keep going. Or you just plant the seeds and walk away. But either way, I think the best time to do that is just right then, and just throw out as many seeds as you can, and wait a couple of months and see how many of them start to grow. Like you said, Shane, with that one Bernie supporter.
All the time, man.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you'll post a meme in like a group that, you know, like there was one called like Bama Carry, like Alabama Carry, and I just said, hey, who here's a libertarian? And I put a meme up, and it was like for real, like a 600 comment thread of basically me versus the world. And I just tried to eloquently, in my best ways, defend things, and it was pretty amazing. I got a couple of people messaged me going, "Wow, you really changed my mind on a lot of stuff." And you always think 90% of the people that see something are lurkers. They don't interact with anything, so
right. They'll see that.
You never really know
and
who's
that
watching.
Alone will plant the seed for their future thought to come around and figure things out.
Yeah, and I implement those. Things get implemented through reading things over and over and over and over. And if they're following a thread, every comment on it, and they see somebody won't answer a simple question that they know the answer to, and they know if they answer this question that the logical conclusion is anarchy, then they're going to have to fight the cognitive dissonance just sitting there by themselves instead of actively engaging. And I think most people came to the realization that authority is a farce by themselves with no one else there after they sat there with an internal struggle. Some people are, give it up immediately, but, most people, it takes a minute for them to deconstruct authority in their brain.
Oh, yeah. I've talked about this before. I got my buddy Nolan was the one who introduced me to the word voluntarism and gave me some ideas, and that didn't really push me. And I just fought him on it for like 8 months because I went through that struggle. I kept trying to find ways to rationalize government. Like that's what I was actively trying to do. And then the whole thing about authority, and then I finally, it just clicked for me one day. But yeah, it doesn't happen right away. And those are always good. I mean, yeah, I get them too. People send messages every once in a while. We've had a lot of people come on, and talk to us and tell us that either listening to the show or reading something we wrote somewhere had some impact on them one way or another. And exactly what you guys said, the lurkers are the best. That used to be the entire reason I continued to engage as much as I did on social media and get into these long drawn out conversations and continue hammering away even when these people, it was clear that they weren't going to be using logic or reason at all. But I would just keep firing back. And, especially on the Seeds of Liberty page, I mean, it got to the point where I would tell them, hey, at this point, I'm just using you because you're making a complete ass out of yourself. You keep calling me names instead of responding to any of the arguments I've put up. And I'm continuing to engage with you because this is a good exercise for other people to read. And then they'll still keep going. But that's the whole reason I would do it, because it wasn't about them. I had no intention of ever changing any one of their minds. It was the other people that would read along and go, that's interesting. I've never heard that before. Or, well, that's, I may not agree with this guy, but this other person, wow, they're so like immature, and they're not even like this guy's at least trying to have a conversation. Like I've had that happen too. I've had people come and tell me that they did. People who've told me later that day, oh, I just want to let you know I didn't really agree with what you were saying. I still don't agree with what you were saying, but you did such a better job of presenting yourself at least. So I kind of and that got them thinking. And then I hear from them later on. Oh yeah, a lot of people are like that. And why is that? Well, because they don't actually have an argument. Right. They just have emotions. They just have words to throw
reactions.
At you. Yeah, exactly. Reactions. They don't have. They're not thinking. Yeah. They're just going. They're running. I try
to tell people when they're debating, pull yourself out of this debate. Pull your want to win this debate out of it. Pull the notion that you're right or wrong out of the debate. Debate the points. Socratically defend your positions. And it's that easy. If the argument has no stance, then the debate will fall apart quickly. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, that's why some of these unrelated groups and pages that might have large communities and followings, it's good to be kind of active in those because, like Jeremy said, the lurkers will take notice. And I've friended a lot of people from, like various communities like conspiracy theorists and hippies, and a lot of them seem to be ready for a message like this. And you'd be surprised how many people, once you plant that seed, it doesn't even take them 6 months anymore. They'll think about it, and sometimes even in 6 weeks they'll come back and say, hey, you were onto something.
Yeah, and like I said, that's why I think, especially during these times of need for these people, when they're very distraught because they've been let down once again, it's the best time to plant these ideas, because then they have a tendency to stick a little further down. If you get them when versus
Right.
when they think everything is, at the very least okay, and they would maybe just want to tweak a few things. Then it's a little harder to get through to them. But when they're already feeling down about the system or feeling like they've been wrong, their candidate's been wronged, whatever it is, that's a really good time to drop it in. And I think it was something Luck and Rose has said a bunch about. It may not be the first time, but if you just leave that there, leave that information there, the next time they come across somebody that has the similar ideas, it won't be like foreign to them. It'll be like, hey, wait a minute, I've heard that before.
Right.
And that's when their mind starts going, because a lot of people won't even bother to look anything up if you've given them information. But as long as the idea stays there, some people will. Some people immediately are just naturally curious and will want to go look something up if you've given some words they've never heard before, or try to get a grasp on some ideas you presented that they've never really thought about before. Some people will go out and try to look right away. A lot of people will just, oh, okay, and then just kind of forget about it. But if it sits in their mind, the next time around, it's like, oh, wait a minute. This other guy over here was talking about that. That's interesting. Two different people. Don't know it. I don't know if they're connected at all, but same ideas. Maybe I should look into this. And that's how it starts for a lot of people. And I think it's the best I can hope for out of this or any election, but it's not specifically, but especially this one, because, like I said earlier, there's so much hostility on all sides.
There's so much hate and polarity going on right now. I know a lot of these debates can be draining, especially in the larger groups with people who aren't familiar with consistency or anything like that. But it kind of is worth it, because I think it'll, like you said, it'll pay off down the road. I think this year, there's a lot of hate and polarity, but I think next year we might see a lot more like love and unity type stuff.
I definitely think so.
What do you mean?
Well, like, instead of everybody being, choosing sides, it's this versus that, left versus right, black versus white, men versus women, that kind of thing. I think instead of people squaring off into their corners, I think they're going to try to find more common ground and meet in the middle once all of this election cycle is over with.
You could hope so, but I don't. Well, let's just look at a recent historical example. Did that really happen after Obama? Because despite how just pure evil Hillary is, there was at least it seemed, just as much vitriol and just hatred being thrown around during Obama's first run, because there was so many people that seemed to be so adamantly against him, and just so much hostility, and there was a lot of threats, kind of like the threats of, if Trump wins, I'm leaving the country. But yeah, there was plenty of stuff with Obama. If Obama wins, I'm leaving the country. It all went on then, and like I said, for me, it was that first year. By the end of 2009, I was like, there's something going on here that I need to look further into, because this is really messed up. Like, I didn't really like the guy to begin with, but he really didn't do anything he said he's going to do, and it seems to be getting a lot worse really quickly. And I don't recall it. It seems to have gotten worse over the last 8 years. It doesn't seem to level out for me at all and just get ramped up again. Did you guys see differently? Did it seem like there was more peace and love during the last 6 years that I was missing, or something like that?
Well, maybe this is an anecdotal type thing for me, because I've had friends who were kind of liberty-minded. I've had a lot of minarchist friends for like 2 decades, and some of them were starting to come around. But then when this year, this like election cycle hit, they kind of divided themselves into left and right. And a lot of them became like Trump supporters, and it blew my mind how they were making so much progress, and then they kind of took a few steps back. So hopefully, after this is all over with, they'll kind of, when the dust settles, they'll kind of see a little bit more clearly.
I think everybody's got tunnel vision right now on this election. I mean, even in our programming in the last few months, I mean, we've heavily been talking about it. It's consuming. It feels like the whole world right now. Feels like everything's hinging on what happens.
Yeah, but again,
economically at least.
See, I don't know about that, because I don't know why, unless the rest of the world is that dumb too, that they really think it matters. Because I keep trying to tell people this, it's not going to matter. It doesn't matter who wins. The same economic stuff's going to happen. There's still, the only difference is where whoever wins demands the money gets taken from and put towards. You know, it's like it's still the same amount, if not, well, probably more, is going to be spent. So they're just going to move it around. So it's not going to change anything economically. It's still going to screw everything royally. It's not like if Trump wins, they're going to make the situation better, because he can't. No one can. There's no way to make this situation better without letting it actually just die. That's the only thing that can fix this, because it's so far gone that we're
not talking about the Phoenix here. It just needs to die and go away.
Right. Yeah, like it's
like the fucking dodo.
Yeah, and for any leftist or hippie type people like Shane was talking about earlier that may hear this, it's the humane thing to do. Just let it die. It is the most letting the state die a quick and painful death would actually be the most humane thing to do to society.
Euthanize the state.
So exactly. Like I said, to me it doesn't matter who gets in. I don't think, and I want to believe that more people are going to be disenfranchised. I just don't know how many more, because people do just continue to seem to get either dumber or more apathetic as the years go on. And yes, I would agree with your assessment from earlier in the show, Shane, that the numbers are increasing, and sometimes it seems exponentially, because I go through surges where I come across new pockets of people that I had no idea about whatsoever, and they're all anarchists, or they consider themselves, little L libertarians, whatever. Mm-hmm. Wow, and I'm like, if I didn't know any of you existed, so okay, great. I had no connections with anybody at all, so there's more. So there are. It just, there just seems to be times where it ramps up and there seems to be more people. So hopefully that's the case.
Maybe not exponentially, but it does seem to come and go in waves, and perhaps these waves are like every 6 months or so. You plant the seed, and about 6 months later it grows.
Yeah, well, that's what we got to do.
It feels like that, right?
Yeah.
I've noticed I just, anecdotal, I know, but I've noticed I'll just add people on Facebook, and I'll notice that if I just keep posting, they'll eventually just be like, what the hell? And then
not only
get into
you
a big
posting,
argument.
But you know how, when you add someone, they see all your interactions, on their newsfeed. A lot of stuff you interact with will show up in their newsfeed. And so it might not even be something you posted that they'll see and interact with. I've seen that happen a lot of times when I've added friends from, other communities, and then they'll interact with, an anarchist post, and I might not even be there to see it, and you know how someone will make a fallacy, and the anarchist will jump all over it. That kind of stuff happens all the time, and I'll come back and see this entire discussion that took place while I was not even around. So a lot of times that kind of stuff happens, behind the scenes, and I don't know, I think it's really promising to see that kind of stuff happen, with friends that I've added. Sometimes they'll come around on their own or think they did, and it had very little input even from myself.
Yeah, I've noticed that. No argument, no nothing. They just go, you just see them, transform. It's really weird.
That is why we need to keep, when I speak of we now, I'm just talking about the three of us. Anybody else is welcome.
Who's this we? Do you have a squirrel in your pocket?
No, it's the squirrel in the trousers. But no, the three of us here, that is why we keep doing what we keep doing, and that's why I would encourage others to do the same. It really is,
though. And those are the kind of, when I find out that someone else is, taking those kind of steps in the right direction, and it might have been because of something I did, it makes me feel really good, and it motivates me to keep doing it.
Absolutely. And anytime either I or our page gets a message, it says something to that effect, it's like, yeah, all right. It makes it, I've said it the whole time, it makes everything I do here worth it. All the hours that I put in, with doing the shows and trying to learn about editing and messing around with different stuff and trying to deal with all the other BS, trying to keep the page alive, all that stuff, it makes it worth it to me, because that's why I'm doing this. I set out at the beginning, once I decided that I was an anarchist and decided that I wanted to be an activist of some sort. My first goal then, and still is today, is to be the best example for my kids that I could possibly be in regards to trying to spread this message and try to show that reaching out to other people and trying to plant the seeds with other people and hopefully get them to hopefully they'll come to this understanding too. So that's why I keep doing it, and that's why I take on all these projects. I think we just added. I didn't really realize I was agreeing to do another show on a regular basis, but apparently we just started doing one recently called the AA meeting. That's going to be on Tuesday nights. I think we live stream it. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's our friend Bodhi Agora and Dylan Robinson from Veteran Anarchy. Is that his thing now? Like, I can't. He changed the name of his stuff so many times I can't remember.
Yeah.
And Paul Gordon from Disassociation Nation.
Ah.
Yeah, that project is all about trying to come up with action ideas and talk about things that we're actually doing. Part of the whole thing is each week we go through what we've done for Anarchy that week. Well, what we're doing, just not just like, we say that kind of tongue in cheek because we're not like doing it for Anarchy, but you know what I mean, like kind of
right.
Like how are you trying to make the world freer for yourself and possibly other people? What have you done?
It does sound like a great way to shift the focus from, theory to practice.
Well, yeah, it's putting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've heard a lot of people make a one comment that kind of makes sense to me. It's like agorism is putting anarcho-capitalism into action, essentially.
You're right. Yeah, like agorism is the means to voluntarist ends, I like to say.
Yeah. So, whether you're going out there and trying to create a business that works outside the bounds of the state, or at least skirts it as much as possible, or you're helping other people, or you're just whatever it is that you're doing, because we have a bunch of projects running on stuff like that too, trying to help other people that either are not getting help from the state or are trying to avoid the state. Why not get out there and do it as often as you can?
Well, I'm looking forward to the new show, and I appreciate your effort on all these other shows that you do. Like, thank you for your service, Jeremy and Dave, because I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jeremy and Danilo specifically, because early on when I first got exposed to this stuff, you guys kind of did mold my first few baby steps and guide me along the way and set me on the right direction, that I've headed in now. So, yeah, thank you for your service.
Well, that's wonderful, man.
You're quite welcome, Shane. Yeah, it's been quite a while now. It was like almost 3 years ago we first ran into you, something like that.
Well, I would say, I started interacting with you and Danilo about 3 years ago. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I said, this is why I continue to do what I do. I don't know. We've said it plenty of times before. Just use the one Jeffrey Tucker line. Find what you're good at and do it.
Yeah.
Find a way to make that into some kind of anarchy.
Yeah, do what you love. Find your passion.
Yeah, but specifically, instead of worrying about doing something for activism,
enslaving my fellow humans.
Instead of just doing something specifically for that, just do whatever and then find your way. Like me, I have a dog sitting business. It has nothing to do with voluntarism on its face. I've now tried to expose a lot of my clients to these ideas over the past couple of years, and with the shift that I took in the way I receive payments, that was another way for me to kind of do, it was something that I wanted to do for myself, and it also was a way of outreach to my clients, because they were kind of forced to ask me certain questions, and I was able to ask them a few questions along the way too, and we were able to open a dialogue. And I said it before, while still nobody's taking me up on the Bitcoin thing, there are more people asking me questions and asking me why I do the things that I do, and looking more closely when I wear like a lot of my shirts and stuff like that, and asking questions about that. I had one woman who couldn't stop staring at my Lysander Spooner shirt I was wearing a couple of weeks ago with one of his quotes on it, and she just kept reading it and nodding and going, I didn't even have to say anything. I had to do nothing but stand there for long enough and hold the shirt kind of tight so it was flat so she could read the whole thing. Like, that's all I had to do. And this woman walked away and goes, I kept hearing her go, as she was walking away. Like, she was really considering it and thinking about it. It's like, there you go. Anything like that can be a way to reach out to people, and you don't even realize it. Just like
right.
Just like the lurkers we were talking about earlier. You don't know that they're there. Pretend that they are when you engage. It's usually a good. That's also usually a good trick to keep yourself in check and not allow yourself to get it. Because Because I do. Sometimes eventually I'll sink down to the other people's level if they're really just childish about stuff. But for the most part, I try to stay away from that for as long as I can, so that other people see it. Anyway, I think we should probably get wrapping up. This has been a fun conversation, though. Don't know how we got to hear from... Oh, that's right, Dave's weird fork. That's how we got here.
I'm here for the forks.
Ham-fisted.
It was a hard
segue.
fork.
Yeah, hard fork. Oh yeah, speaking of hard fork, I got to get my Bitcoin rig back. My Bitcoin machines back up and running because apparently Bitcoin is alive and well again. It's gonna be exciting. I'm already in on the ground floor of that. People should consider getting in on that too because it's still pretty easy to get. And if it does take off, yeah, it'll be nice. Anyway. So, Shane, thank you very much for coming on tonight, man. It's good talking to you. Like I said, I haven't talked to you in forever, so it's good to catch up.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's really good to catch up. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys on a regular basis, hopefully.
You know where to find me regularly, my friend.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I say, I've been AWOL for the last, month or two, and hopefully, now that I've got some more time in my schedule, I can get back to some of the projects and stuff that I've been working on. So keep an eye out for that stuff.
All right, will do. Dave, anything else before we close out?
No, man. Appreciate Shane for coming on. Glad you got moved and are settling into that new job, and had a little bit of time to talk with us tonight, man. It was truly a pleasure.
It was my pleasure. The pleasure was mine.
All right. Well, we will wrap it up for this evening. This has been the Seeds of Liberty podcast. All of our information, as always, can be found at theseedsofliberty.com. And we will catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Recently reading into the thesis, mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though. Seeing is believing, yes, the reason is appealing most. Reading enemies is just enables you to see it too.
Now that you put it that way, I have the answer to that question. It's projection. That's what it is. It's not a cop-out to call us utopians. They're actually projecting their own self-hatred onto us.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.